Hey guys, welcome back to Ash Echoes. In today's video, I wanted to go through the best teams in the game. We're going to look at free-to-play, generic good tanks, healers, and supports that you can slap with whatever you happen to pull. And then we'll look at more precise teams and also some of the traces that you want to use when you take those teams in to the Nexus so that you can get sort of the best sets possible when you're going for your engravings. So first of all, I want to talk about some universal heroes that you can use if you don't have some of the best ones. So the first off is the tanks. So Laurel is a great tank in general. We do have other 6-star tanks and stuff like that, but if you are missing in general, if you are missing a 6-star tank and you don't have a great tank, we do have two options. You got Yuki, who you get very early, and then we got Tianru. Now these are both viable tanks. I honestly like Yuki the most. I've been using him. Tianru kind of gives you more healing capabilities in your team, whereas Yuki's just a really solid thick tank, plus he does have the electro. If you are running any zones, you can benefit from that as well. It's not crazy damage he's going to be bringing, but it is something in addition, and you can also use it for added control effects and stuff like that. So that is Yuki, and he would be the general one. We all get him for free, so not too bad. There's some general tanks. The next thing is we've got healers and supports, general good ones. So obviously, if you manage to pull yourself a Freda, she's going to be a universal healer for everything, healer / buffer. If you don't have her, the top two I normally look to are going to be Bella or Bubbles. Bubbles being the 4-star range, Bella being the 5-star range. Past that, you've got Cheng Yao, who I don't like as much as Bubbles personally. After that, we do have Su Xiao, who we get for free. Her problem is that she needs her ultimate to heal effectively, so I think she's a bit too slow. She does have the revive eventually as well, which is handy, but just note she's another option, but I wouldn't default to her. I would be using one of the others as the healer. And then the final one I have in here is just a general good support that we all get for free, which is Sembeka. She has the water zones. She can trigger the lightning into the water zones. She can blow enemies away. Very, very universally good unit. And if you're using any DPS that you've pulled along the way that can have interactions with the water zone, whether it be Electroconduct, whether it be using the fire on top to get the damage mitigation, whatever it may be, she is just fantastic in general for free-to-play players because we can all get her for free through the Discord code event anyway. So that is her. Now that's just some universally good units. The next thing I want to talk about is your additional units. For me, I'm still at the stage where I'm not too stressed about my additional units. I'm not using any key strategies with them. I just like to have in my additional units, I want to have one extra tank, one extra unit that can heal, and then one extra unit for damage. That's the core three I look to. So you can see here we got Yuki in my main one. We've got Cyrus as well here, and then we've got her for the big heal because they will generate energy in the back row, so when she comes out, she can pop a heal. That's pretty much what I've been looking at. Once again, early stages, don't stress too much about the backup lineup. Just slap in whatever, but that's the general thing. I just like to have the backup tank in case my tank dies. I like to have a backup healer in case my healer dies, and that's the basic gist. Now, if we want to look at some more specific teams and traces, we can go over here to Pridewind. Massive shout out to Pridewind. Lyriel been doing an absolute truckload of work over here, putting together some teams. The thing I love about this is don't just look at the teams. The key thing that it has down here is has suggestions for other characters you can add into the team if you don't have them. And then on top of that, they've also go through memory traces, who you want to be your leader, what memory traces you want to use, and then some budget options for memory traces as well. I think this is absolutely fantastic. Come here and look through it. We'll quickly go through them. The first one is going to be the Corrosion team. Now, if this one you would only really build if you have Laurel, I'd kind of avoid it if you didn't. Now, this is a team I am currently working on over here on my account as well. If I go over here into my Echomancer, for the beginner missions, I've got all this level up skills on a bunch more units. So as you can see here, I've got my Gina that I am beefing up, and Caroline will be the next one that I do. And then obviously I have Laurel and Freda. So that will be another team in my arsenal once I get that built up. So really cool team. I do like the Corrosion. Corrosion's a little bit different in that it's something that really does stack the terminal because it's terminal that interacts with the damage of the Corrosion, which is really cool. Fun team. I'll make a spotlight on it once I do get it built. Then we've got the Electrocution team. Now, I feel like there's a bunch of ways to proc the Electrocution team. They go through a bunch of other options. It's a very simple one to make. Now, if you don't have Furry, this is like a very free-to-play option. If you don't have Furry and Fernie, then you can always just use Sambeka. That gives you your water zones. It gives you some extra control. If you're using Freda, you've already got your healer, so you're pretty much sorted. And away you go. You got Lydia to go ahead and proc those Electrocutions, but you've also got Yuki as the tank in there to do the same thing. Once again, you can scroll down, find different recommendations for characters if you don't have the specific one set. If you were looking for another healer, let's say you didn't have the Freda, definitely Bubbles is going to be the one in here. Adding to the synergies that we have. So I would definitely be putting Bubbles in as the secondary healer if you were looking for it and you didn't have any, obviously, the 6-star options. Once again, going through memory traces, if you're curious on which memory traces these are and you want to look at them, see if you've got them and you're just curious, you can go over here to memory traces over in Pridewind, and you can see and you can find out what they all do if you want to go ahead and check out what any of them do. They do have a bunch extra from CN as well, just take note of that. So you're just looking for the global ones. You can filter by the different types as well if you want to, different rarities and different types. Moving on from that one, we have the Freeze team. This is a team I do want to build. I've got the Begonia. Unfortunately, I don't have the Ivana, but if I do pull her at some stage, I will try it. Now, this team is a bit different in that it doesn't have a tank per se. Because you are running that freeze strategy, you're relying on being able to buy yourself some time. You're not only running freeze, but you're also running Sambeka, and Sambeka is going to be able to blow those enemies away, which any sort of kiting or control ability is going to be great in this type of team for, you know, avoiding that damage essentially. So that is that one. The next one we're going to look at is the Summoner team. Now, this is the team I have been using. I went a bit, my free-to-play account went a bit whale style using that team, but it's absolutely fantastic. I do love the Summoner team. It's very user-friendly. You don't have to stress about, you know, putting zones in the right area and triggering them correctly. You just have Chen, who puts out a bunch of drones, and they're going to kill anything that comes in. You got Luke, who's got the extra barriers and stuff like that. He's just throwing out a bunch of packages, which will just kill things as they spawn if they're squishy. You got Laurel, obviously, as your tank / offensive unit, depending on what position you're in. And then you got Freda as your healer / buffer. Works super duper well. You can play with Freda in healing mode and Laurel in defense mode, you know, if it's a little bit hairy. And then as soon as you get your ultimates out, then you just go into offense mode. You pop Freda's ultimate so that she's using it on her buff. So she's in her buff stance when you use the ultimate. She's going to buff the damage you can deal. Then you go into Luke. He's going to buff attack and deal really good damage himself. And then you're just going to go to Chen, and Chen's going to call out the orbital strike drone, and it's just going to nuke the entire battlefield. I absolutely love this team. It is amazing, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It is a bit expensive, though, with Chen, Luke, and the Rel all being in it, but yeah, no, I did go ahead and reroll for it. So, you know, no life that I have in rerolling in games. Once again, you can look at some different options. The memory trace recommendations, definitely recommend checking out these memory trace recommendations because it is something that people ask me a lot in my whatchamacallit guide for the dude. I can't even remember. I always forget the name of the thing. The Nexus guide. A lot of people did ask me about that, and this is just a great resource. Instead of trying to make a video going through each one, what's good, what's not, just come here. You can get some really good recommendations over here from Pridewind. And then we've got the Pure Fire team. Now, Cyrus, you got Mo as well. You can actually, if you went ahead and grabbed Cyrus, you can actually build this team not too bad, because we do have other tanks that you can shove in. Infra, how do I, dude, I don't even know how to say that, but yeah, she is a 4-star tank, so you can actually slot her into that role. It's obviously not going to be as strong, but if you do have Cyrus and you don't really have any other options, you can slap her in there, so you do have your damage dealer, and then you can swap in any other healer that you want pretty much, and you can go ahead and make use of that team if you did grab Cyrus from your selector, because he was just a good universal damage dealer in general. He's got his form change, he's got his fire zones, just an absolute monster of a unit. But once again, this is a bit more of the expensive version. You can play a more budget version of it if you want to, and that pretty much. Oh no, we've got the Explosion team. I forgot about the dude. The Explosion is one of the most satisfying interactions in the game. Just because like the way it displays the number is satisfying. It's got like the little like it's like the triangle symbol. Like The explosion I love. I love explosion. It's really sick. This one just basically, you use Cyrus, you use his ultimate, you change form, you put down that fire zone, and then you start exploding with Lydia. Another really cool comp. Like I said, explosion, if you haven't tried it, is actually a really fun thing to test out. And once again, this is using Mo as the tank. You can go ahead and use Old Mate as well as your other tank, so you do have the other tank options as well. And Yuki, that's his name, I forgot his name, but yeah, Yuki can add to the explosion. Once again, he's not as crazy, but he is decent. Now, this win team is something that we are looking at in the future. If we do get the next character being a win DPS, based on what we got on CN, we'll have to wait and see. I'll update you guys once they announce it to see who we're getting, but this is going to be another viable option as a team that we can go ahead and play with. I might even build up my Azuna in preparation for this, in case that is the next banner, because I will have enough to pity the next banner, but we will have to wait and see. The win team really relies on having really high attack speed, so you're just boosting up that attack speed and nuking hard. But once again, this is not a complete team in the current state of the game until we get more characters, so just keep that one in mind as well. And that pretty much rounds up all the teams. Like I said, this game offers you so many different play styles. Like I said, I'm enjoying the physical team because it's pretty basic, but I do absolutely love a good explosion team, and I do want to build the freeze team eventually. And like I said, I am working on the corrosion team as well. It just gives you a lot of different ways to play through the game, and you know, just find enjoyment in the game. So that is going to be it for this one. Once again, I'll leave this linked in the description. Really good for going ahead and finding out what some good recommendations for traces to bring in, because that is one of the hardest things in the game, is the Nexus and knowing what traces to bring. And they've listed it out really well here that, you know, maybe it's not ideal, maybe you do have some differences, but you know, just a good base level of traces to bring in so that you can get yourself pointed in the right direction, because the Nexus it's hella complex. But anyway guys, that is going to be it for this one. As always, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.